everybody, my name is Nicola and I am simply a stitcher. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you are new around here, it is wonderful to have you, and if you are returning, thank you very much for coming back and spending some time with me today. So today I'm going to do another stitch with me and we'll have a little chat, I think, with this one. I haven't got many topics, but there we go. And the piece in question is this one. It's Stitching Jules Designs Polar Bear and Cub. Let me just bring up the mock-up. There. And I am working in the bottom section now. So the way I'm working this piece is I'm doing everything except for the colour white and then filling in the colour white around it. Okay. So yeah, so I thought we'd have a little stitch with me. I'm actually going to be working on this bottom bit, and it's going to be a few colour changes. I'm not going to be moving. Start that again. I'm not going to be zooming the camera in too much because I'm going to be moving pretty much along this bottom section. So yeah, let's get a cracking and see how far we can get. I hope everybody is well. I'm not doing too badly. Been a bit wacky and weird lately. I've been having a lot of odd dreams. Not sleeping too badly, but just the dreams are sort of quite disturbing. And no cheese before bed, so I don't know what that is. But there we go. Put this end first. So having another cold-ish, it's a cold-ish snap here in the UK. Temperatures seem to have dropped again a little bit. Let's hope that this starts to warm up. It's been quite nice lately because it's been light at the end of my work day. You know, I mean, it wasn't so long ago, and at 3:30 it was pitch black. We had to go to do a supermarket shop last night, and I said to Andy, I said, you don't necessarily need the headlights. He went, no, but I'm going to put them on. I went, oh yeah, that's fine. I said, but you know, it's not dark yet. It was kind of like pre-dusk. So yeah, it was quite nice. And of course the mornings are getting lighter as well, but it'll all change next month when the clocks move. The clocks will go forward an hour, so we'll be in pitch black at 5 o'clock again. But the mornings will get lighter and it'll be easier to get up. I try and get up at a regular time, but when it's dark my body just doesn't want to get out of bed. So it's another one of those peaceful days. Hannah, my eldest, is at Grandad's, the youngest is at school, and the middle one is sleeping. Andy's gone to work. It's 7:30 in the morning, so I've got to work in a little while. I mean, obviously, you know, working from home during my lunch breaks, I do jump sort of straight onto my stitching. And I think I'm going to have to start and set myself an alarm for the end of my meal break, because at least twice this week I've very nearly been late back to my desk. Stitching just pulls me in. Not next week, but the week after. We are away for a short while, for a few days, going doing some filming for Andy's channel. We'll be staying in 2 hotels, and I've been debating what project to take with me, because I do want to take some stitching. At first I was leaning towards this one, get it to a point that all I need to do is put in the white, but that would be very boring. So I've changed my mind. So I think what I'm going to do, I shall be taking my Lowry. So I think I shall take my Leonid Afromov piece, the Night Cafe, because it's 10 stitch, and even though it's 25 count, I can do 10 on 25 count, and oh, look at that, and not need a magnifier. So, I mean, the other options were, obviously, you know, I've got Maui Princess, Realm of Middle-earth, Envy, Pandemic, and a Stitching Shelf, which are all 25 count, 1/1 full cross. Very difficult to, oh, do you know, I can't thread this. Very difficult to see without a magnifier for me. My eyes are pretty much, you know, knackered. You know, so I figured if I take the Afromov piece, then I can make some inroads in it. At the moment, I'm not going to finish it, because obviously I worked on it the last couple of days. And when I put the information into Stitch Pal, I'm up to 2035 for a projected finish at the rate that I'm stitching. So obviously I want to bring that down as well. So even though it's a large piece, I think to travel with, I think I'll be okay. So try and get a couple of thousand stitches in on that when I'm away. What we'll do is, when we get back to the room in the evening, we'll, you know, eat and have a shower or a bath or whatever, and Andy will sit and edit, and I've got a choice: watch rubbish on telly, or have my laptop, have my stitching, and stitch and catch up on YouTube, FlossTube, and so on. So I figured that was the better option. I'm having to flip for this. So on that particular week, I won't be filming a FlossTube, but I will put out a second, oh, camera quake, a second stitch with me. Come on, where's my scissors? Because wherever I am, I can put out the videos. So So yeah, I figured that's going to be the best way to go. And I should probably take more in cross stitching and Lowry stand and box of thread and so on, tablet, laptop, than what I will with clothes, if I know me. We're going to, I think Andy said something like 9 counties or something, filming a video in each county. Don't ask me which ones because I've forgotten. I know Rutland's amongst them, Leicestershire, no, not with Leicestershire, Oxfordshire, Buckinghamshire, Berkshire. Oh, and we're going to Windsor as well. I'm going to do a video on Andy's channel, a special one from Windsor Castle and Windsor Castle grounds. You know, the what do they call it? A great park. That's it. Which I shall quite enjoy. I've not been to Windsor since the death of Princess Diana in 1997. It was a couple of months after I got married for the first time. And I went there with flowers because I lived down there at the time. As I said on one of my previous videos. Oh, look at that. Something about my eyesight for 25 count. I think my eyesight's going Pete Tong for 18. Yeah, as I said, I lived down there in Midsummer Murders country. And if anybody is interested in those episodes that the pub was in, they are Series 18, Episode 5, Series 3, Episode 1. And also, the Village Green also appeared in the pilot. The pub was called the Rose and Chalice in the series. And in the Series 18, Episode 5, it had Ralph Little in it. And those of you in the UK will be quite familiar with who Ralph Little is. Anthony in the royal family. I think he was in 2 Pints of Lager, I think. Although I never watched that. He's a great actor. It's quite weird to see him stood behind the bar that I'd stood behind. But anyway. So yeah, Buckinghamshire, Berkshire, Oxfordshire. I think maybe Gloucestershire is on there too. Rutland's definitely on there. And a few other counties, but... Oh, Wiltshire. I know Wiltshire because we'll be staying in Swindon. So, yeah. Can't wait. It'll be nice to get away for a few days. And then this weekend, last week when we were having the car trouble, you might remember that Andy and I had gone overnight to Cleethorpes, which is like a seaside town about an hour or so from where we live. And they have, you know, beach, fish and chips, slot machines, you know, 2p shoves, all that kind of thing, entertainment. We're all going there on Sunday as a family for a day out. On this week of February, the first, well, I say the first, it's the first full week of February this year. It's not an easy one for me. On the Monday, the 6th, it would have been my late mother's birthday. She would have been 74 if she was still with us. Sadly, she did pass away in 2013. And then on Sunday, the day that we do go away, I think it's going to be nice to do it as a distraction, because on that day it is the anniversary of my mother's passing. So she passed away the 12th of February 2013. I think the one thing that I found hardest when my mother died, I don't often talk about this. My mum had had this birthday before she'd passed away, and I'd gone to see her and had taken her some flowers. Now, my mum was quite poorly. She had COPD, she had heart problems, she had blood pressure problems, she had diabetes. There was all kinds of things that were wrong with my mum. And I took her these flowers, and they were the kind of flowers that sat in water in a box. You didn't have to take them out and put them in a vase or anything. So they were just, gifted them, and there they were. And these flowers had, from where I got them, they had the reputation that the flowers were very good and they lasted a long time. And in fact, when I was arranging and helping to arrange my mum's funeral, we went back there for the flowers for my mum's grave. On the day of my mum's funeral, it was like 2 weeks after she passed away, we went to her home, which is obviously where the funeral procession began from. And I walked in, and my mum, when she got these flowers, she'd put them on her fireplace hearth, right next to where she sat, and the flowers were still there. And it almost broke my heart that they were still there, and they were still alive. But it was just heartbreaking to see, because I wanted my mum to be there. But anyway, so on Sunday we're all going out of Rotherham for the day, to spend some quality time together as a family, to do something that we all enjoy. And I think my mum would not be unhappy at that, because she'd want us to do something as a family and to enjoy our time together. So that's what we're doing. So today Andy has a little job to do. My middle daughter and boyfriend have parted company, and she has to go and collect some of her things from his home. So they're going to do that today. Not an easy time when you're a teenager and that sort of thing happens, but I'm sure she'll be fine. In other news in the UK, at the moment, excuse me, as I'm filming this, it's the 10th of February. And we have a missing person in the UK who has pretty much, dominated news stories. A mum of two who has gone missing. Very strange circumstances. Dropped her children at school, went to walk a dog. The dog was found safe and well and dry. A phone was found still connected to a conference call through work, and the dog's harness was found. But this lady wasn't. And they've spent sort of the last couple of weeks or so, doing underwater searches because they believe that she's fallen into a river. And it's really heartbreaking that they've not been able to locate this lady yet. And I was watching the news last night, and they've now moved the search to the sea, because this river does feed into the sea, and it's not that far away. I really feel for her family, and they've also been victims of some truly awful online trolling, and it's such a shame that somebody's, in the eyes of the public, has been essentially tried and convicted and made somewhat of a pariah when we don't even know what happened to this lady yet. It's become such a scene as well. The police have issued dispersal notices and told people not to, go breaking into empty properties and things like that. The public want to help, which is commendable. But there's a way to help without being destructive or interfering with the police investigation. And I think, a lot of people have got caught up in the emotion of what's happened rather than looking at it from an outsider's or an objective point of view. That, if members of the public go wading in and they find something, are they going to hinder evidence, even the truth coming out of what happened to this lady? Is their presence there going to affect that? But yes, it's a new story I'm keeping an eye on. What else is happening in the world today? That was the other one that came out yesterday. Burt Bacharach had died, the composer. And I didn't realise he was 94. I mean, crikey, that's some age, isn't it? We've lost a few people already this year in the entertainment world. Seems to have been a busy start to 2023. I don't make a habit of watching news. I tend to be a YouTube watcher. To be honest, Andy said to me, "Why do we even have a TV? It's never switched on." And it's usually because there's some some sort of bad news. I mean, a severe earthquake in, I think it was Turkey. Was it Turkey? I think 20,000 dead or something like that. Obviously, we've still got the ongoing war in the Ukraine. Cost of living crisis. I tell you what I found with it, with the energy prices. We obviously, keep an eye on our energy usage. I'm like a demon. I go around turning things off. It's not the heating costs that are, I mean, obviously they're up on the summer. We don't use the heating in the summer, just the hot water. But it's the heating costs are not out of control for me. It's because our heating is gas, it's the electricity costs. We seem to use an awful lot of electricity in this house. I mean, my oven is electric, my hobby's gas, and my central heating's gas. So what I've tried to do is have at least one, and if we can more, meals per week that is hob based, that I can cook on the gas hob, because the oven is expensive to run because it's electricity. But I've also got a guideline, mainly for the children, because the older ones like to cook for themselves from time to time, and that is, if you're using the oven, use it wisely. So, is there anything else that needs to be cooked? Can you cook something for the later tea, which might just need to be warmed through? That kind of thing. Can you cook, if you're cooking one of something, can you cook two? Because then the other one can go in the fridge and be used in the next sort of day or two, or, that kind of thing. So, try and get some impact on that. I mean, obviously things like chargers and that, I do, turn off things at the wall where I can. I keep my freezer fairly reasonably full, so that it's running at its most efficient, that sort of thing. It is very difficult with electricity because, like I said, we don't use television very often. We do use the lights. Obviously, I use my craft light, but I think mainly, to be honest, it's charging. And obviously having my work computer here as well, and a second screen. So, oh, excuse me, we must use more in the winter. So, we will be okay. Warmer days are coming, lighter days are coming. I was out with Andy a couple of weeks ago when we were in Grimsby. I was in this village and was walking around this churchyard, and there were snowdrops coming through, and they were just so beautiful. Not be long and the bluebells will be out, and the daffodils. Is it bluebells in the spring? I think it is. My mum used to love daffodils. I like them, but I don't like the smell. There's not really a fragrance from them, but the smell that they give off, I don't like. So this piece, as you guys know, is a Stitching Jules design. I don't know if you've seen what Jules has put out and released hook patterns wise lately, but some lovely stuff in there, and I'm quite tempted. Although my whip pile is quite big enough. I just want all the things, but I also need all the time. So Andy's children came and stayed with us last weekend, and he took them out to a local football match, which they quite enjoyed. Something a little bit different. Just try and encourage Andy to do something with his children when they, because otherwise they just, the typical pre-teens, they just sort of sit there with the phones, which is no good. I mean, we have things like, board games and activities, and, things like, occasionally we will cook together, or that sort of thing. Andy will get the games out, or they like to play Uno. They like to play, I think they like to play Connect 4. And I said to him, get the stuff out, that's what it's there for. If you don't want to be stuck in, go to park with a football, or like what he did, went and watch a match. Or if I need some shopping, go take them to the shops, or it's just sort of finding the right thing, isn't it? And at a difficult age, I mean, his son brought a jigsaw last weekend, which was fantastic. I love a jigsaw. I will sit with a jigsaw forever, and I haven't done one, oh God, for a long time. Me, him, he said, I'm going to go and have a look at and sit at the table and do my jigsaw. I said, yeah, okay, fine, no problem. Off he went, and 5 minutes later he come back. Oh, it's too hard. I said, right, okay, well, why is it hard? He went, it's just too hard. It's a 1,000-piece jigsaw. There's a beautiful Paris street scene. And Andy looked at it and he went, yeah, I reckon that you'd stitch that, Nikki, if you could. And I'm like, yep, yeah, I probably would. We got the jigsaw puzzle out, we just sat and did it between us on the Sunday. And barely a stitch was done that day because I was too busy with the jigsaw. Yes, it's very enjoyable. I used to do jigsaws a lot when I was a kid. Saturdays and Sunday mornings used to spend in my room, and I used to do a jigsaw, and I used to do like a 500-piece jigsaw in like an hour or something daft like that. It was the same one that I used to do, and I got so practiced at it, I just knew where every piece went. One of a couple of hobbies I had as a kid. I also played the tenor horn in my school's band. And I took up stitching when I was about 14. As I said, I asked my mum for a kit. I have told this story before, but I'll tell it again. Back in, sort of the 80s, there weren't really many there were haberdashery shops around. You could go and buy material and zips and buttons and needles and that kind of thing. But they were mainly for dressmaking. Cross-stitching as a hobby, although it was around, it wasn't nowhere near as popular as it is now. So we used to get weekend on a Sunday, we used to get the newspapers, and my mum would send me to the shop and I'd buy the 3 newspapers. And in the newspapers, usually there was a supplement, a colour supplement, like a magazine. And I can remember seeing this page where back then they would advertise this product, and you would clip the coupon, fill in the details, send it off with a cheque, and back came your goods. So I can remember saying to my mum, look, I've seen this, can I have that for Christmas? And it was a kit, and it was a Candemar Designs kit. I remember that, not because I remember it, but because I actually found the chart. It was a bit of a unicorn, and I found it a couple of years ago. And it was a sampler, and I said to my mum, I would really love to have this kit. And she said, okay, we can have it as, for Christmas, which is perfect, which is what I wanted. So she sent off for it, and I never heard a thing from my mum, and I pretty much forgot about it, because, bear in mind, this was sort of, a couple of months before Christmas, and when you're a teenager, you have the memory of a goldfish. I'd already sort of dabbled in some black work. I've actually got my first piece of stitching, which I must show at some point. And it was black work. It was a butterfly. And on Christmas Day, of course, I opened up my presents, and this kit's amongst them, and I'm absolutely delighted. and I got started on it straight away, and it was done. I started it, I don't think it was Christmas Day or Boxing Day. I think it was Boxing Day I started it, because Christmas days tended to be quite full when I was growing up. And I started it on Boxing Day and I'd finished it before New Year. And my mum put it in a frame for me. And it hung in our house for years. And I have no idea what happened to it. I really don't. It could be anywhere. It could be in the bottom of a landfill by now. I ain't got a clue. I thought my mum had still got it, but when I last went to the flat, the piece that I thought it wasn't that. So I've got it, and I'm going to stitch it again at some point. Maybe in June, if I don't have any finishing to do, I might stitch it, because it's not a big piece. So yeah, so those were my hobbies: jigsaws, school band, and cross stitch. Oh, and did some gymnastics as well at school. Gymnastics and aerobics, that kind of thing. You know, the things you do to stay fit when you're a teenager. And it kept me out of trouble at lunchtime, you know, at school. Go and do a gymnastics session, or a music session, or something. Schools back then weren't like schools now, where we had like lots of after school clubs and extracurricular activities. You know, they might have had a football team and a hockey team and an athletics squad or netball squad or whatever, but I didn't go for any of that. For me, I was more like gym, aerobics, music, and of course, you know, we didn't have anything for cross stitching in school, not at all. Although I do remember the days before you break up for summer or for Christmas, they would have activity sessions in my school, and you could choose which activity. And there was a knitting class where they'd knit, you know, like blanket squares for charity. And I always went into that, because I can knit as well. I can knit, I can crochet a bit, although I'm mainly granny squares with that. I can't dressmake. Well, I say I can't, I've not really tried. But of course I can cross stitch. But yeah, I used to go into knitting class. I used to spend a whole day knitting a granny square. Not a granny square, that's crochet. Knitting a square so they could all be sewn together for blankets, for, you know, for people who needed them. I also, quite unusually for a girl, or it was seen as unusual anyway, back then, probably not now, I also quite like metalwork. I can remember making a door hook. I can remember making some brackets for shelves that had like a scroll with a twist in it, you know, in the bracket kind of thing. God, I used to quite enjoyed that, spending some lunch times in the metal shop. I was never artistic. I couldn't paint or draw. I'm still not now. Stickman is about my limit. God, look at that. For some reason, the middle daughter can draw. She can draw quite well. I don't know where she gets it from, because it's not from me. I don't think her dad drew all that well either. Oh dear. I'm quite enjoying doing the weekly floss tube. I'm tending to be working on 3 or 4 full coverage projects a week, which I think is plenty. This week I've had this one out and the night cafe, and I think I'm gonna get stitching shelf out for the rest of the week. And then of course I'm still working on London. If you'll have been on my Instagram, you'll see that I've not been very happy with the clock face on it. The hands of Big Ben, the clock tower, were done in the glow-in-the-dark thread. It just didn't look right. And I really wasn't, very happy with it. So I took out the glow-in-the-dark and I substituted it with some 433, and I made a couple of lovely clock hands. And just to pick up the colour, I haven't photographed that yet for Insta, I used, again with the 433, I put a single strand of sort of back stitching around the frame of the clock, so it ties in and it picks up, and I do think it looks a lot better. Still hoping for a end of month finish for that one. So I'm trying my best to get it done, hopefully by the end of next week if I can, because obviously we go away week commencing the 20th, although we'll have a few days when I come back if it's still not done. If not, I'll just park it until June, as per my plan. bottom one. Oh. I keep splitting this Aida blocks. Doing well today. Anyway, Andy and I are off out filming on Saturday with Hannah, and we are going to Heptonstall. So that will be tomorrow. There'll be a video on his channel. I just hope that this time when we travel up the motorway that there isn't the fog and the vehicle on fire as there was last time. We can only hope. So I'm quite looking forward to that. Go out, get a walk, some fresh air, all the rest of it. I think that's the thing about working from home, isn't it? You know, we get out of the habit of going out the house. We tend to go out for shopping. And that's about it. Right. I'm going to mark off these stitches and then I think we're going to leave it there. Almost an hour. Probably a good near nigh 200 stitches in there, so probably a bit less than 200, probably about 180 I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, about 170 I think, something like that. But this is filling up quite nicely. I mean, just look at how bright and beautiful those blues are. They're just gorgeous, aren't they? So that's everything from me. Thanks for watching and thank you for joining me today. And if you are, as I said, if you are new around here, then a very big welcome. If you are viewing this video and haven't subscribed, please consider doing so before you leave today. And as ever, if you have any questions, any comments, do leave them down below. Comments are still being moderated to prevent any issues with people being spammed or, you know, whatever, because it's not good, and I will do everything in my power to prevent that. But other than that, take care, happy stitching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye for now, everybody.